Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. You know the dance by now. I'm in the studio. It's live. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think about all the latest Manchester United news and whether you've actually got any Manchester United news. Are you ITK? Have you seen Joao Felix down your local Morrison's? If that is the case, get in touch and let us know. Dan Round in the chat says, morning, Jay, Happy New Year. Rob Halliday Drum says, morning, Jay. Jason McMillan says, what's the offer? A spaceship to Mars. I think he's talking about the Joao Felix offer, which I am going to get to very shortly. We've got a few stories to go through. Obviously, United being linked with a host of attackers, the likes of Marcus Thuram, the likes of Joao Felix, the likes of Choupo-Moting. So we'll get into all that as well. Plus, an update with the Jack Butland situation, because this one came a little bit out of nowhere for me. Jack Butland. A few days ago, this story broke that United were in for Jack Butland, so we'll get into that. I'm just going to go through some of the comments as well, because loads of you commented. Erwin Peterson says, morning, Jay. Dale Gibson says, morning, Jay, you beautiful bald legend. Love that. Thank you, Dale. Right, here you can see Manchester United schedule medical for first signing as Erik Ten Hag lands his man. So this is obviously to talk about Jack Butland coming to Manchester United. Like I said earlier, this story was sort of, I don't know, I didn't see it coming, but obviously part of the reason that this came about was because Newcastle recalled Martin Dubravka. So once that happened, it seemed that Manchester United then were like, right, well, we need to get a replacement. For whatever reason, I don't know what the sort of situation is there with Erik Ten Hag and Tom Heaton. I don't know whether he just doesn't feel like he's up to the job of being number two. I don't know if he feels like he needs more than those two. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, he's always been after another keeper, a backup keeper, if you will, to David De Gea. I don't think David De Gea is going to get dropped for anyone anytime soon. Jack Butland, a player who is only 29. He's quite young, isn't he, in goalkeeper terms, and has had a pretty varied career, shall we say. At one point, was in the England squad, was in the England team. He's got 9 England caps, but his last cap was, I think, was 5 years ago or 4.5 years ago. So he's not someone who you'd say is an England regular by any stretch of the imagination. The last World Cup, the last tournament squad I think he made was the World Cup squad in 2018. But was one of the most spoken about or the most praised young goalkeepers in England for a while. You got to remember that at the time he went to the World Cup in 2018, he would have been about 24. Around that age, so very young for a goalkeeper. Spent all that time at Stoke City, where he sort of made his name I think it was about 7 or 8 seasons there, but went down with them when they got relegated and carried on playing for them. And then I almost feel that it's like he's never really got back to those levels he was at, or certainly not in terms of the esteem he was held in. Once Stoke got relegated, he went out of the Premier League, he stayed in the Championship, then he came back into the Premier League with Crystal Palace, but isn't first choice for them. And now it looks like he's, could be heading to Old Trafford. Seems like a very good backup keeper, to be honest with you. I'll be honest, while I'm on the subject of being honest, it's not like I get terribly excited about Manchester United signing backup goalkeepers. David De Gea is the first choice. I expect him to play the vast majority of the games. I think if Jack Butland comes in, the most likely game he's going to get is the Charlton League Cup game, if he's even eligible. I'm not even sure about that one. But I don't expect him to play a lot of games for Manchester United. But you do want a quality backup goalkeeper, and he certainly fits the bill. Like I said before, been in the England squad, 9 England caps, only 29 years old. It kind of makes sense if you don't fancy Tom Heaton as your backup, which for whatever reason it looks like Erik Ten Hag doesn't. Let me know what you think. Let me know, do you rate Jack Butland? Is this a signing where you go, okay, yeah, I like what's going on here? The overriding thing here for me, and I know I'm turning into a right little Erik Ten Hag fanboy, and I'm not even going to apologise for that, is if Erik Ten Hag wants someone, then I'm all about it. I trust this manager. He knows what he's doing. So if he says, right, I want this backup goalkeeper, I want, Jack Butland to come in, then fine. That makes sense to me. It's not something I expected or was like, we need to get Jack Butland. But if that's going to be the case and Erik Ten Hag wants him, then yeah, more power to him. Do hit the like button. Please hit the like button. As barely, what is it? Not even got 30 likes. Come on, let's get 100 likes. BMW Racing 1974 says, hello, J lad. Let us know, what do you think about Jack Butland? What do you think about the goalkeeper situation? Do you care? Do you see, and this sounds a bit crazy, but I'll ask it anyway, do you see any chance that Jack Butland comes in and challenges David De Gea? Or is he going to come in and be told, you've got no chance of that? You're just a backup. I mean, let's face it, you expect him to be a backup, but do you think there might be a case where you go, you know what, if you show me what you're about, then there's always an opportunity. Joe Carr says, why, if you can't get in the Palace team? I think the difficulty there is it's hard working it sometimes, taking a player who's in the first team of a Premier League club especially and getting him to become your reserve. And the goalkeeper situation is a funny one because you've not got an opportunity. Like, if you come in as a striker, then you might get rotated. You might, play alongside the other striker. You may come on as sub. You may get opportunities. If you come in as a goalkeeper, there's only one position there for you. You're not going to play two goalkeepers. So if you've got a goalkeeper at that club in front of you who is established, who is playing well, which is exactly what David De Gea is doing. David De Gea is ticking a lot of boxes at the minute. He's playing really well. He's been at the club for years. There's talk of him maybe getting a contract extension or triggering an extension, and him even taking a pay cut to do that, which shows a willingness there. It seems very unlikely that David De Gea is going to get dropped anytime soon. He might not be the long-term answer to Erik ten Hag, David De Gea. There's still the chance that David De Gea ends up moving in the summer, or Erik ten Hag goes, you know what, he's not quite the style of goalkeeper I want. But at the moment, he's not going anywhere, and he's certainly not going to get dropped, I don't think, anyway, for Jack Butland. So it's difficult when you're getting a player in and you're getting a goalkeeper in, because all you can say to him is, listen, you've got to be honest with him. You're going to spend most of the season on the bench. But, no disrespect to Crystal Palace, spending the time on the bench for Manchester United is a better prospect probably than spending the time on the bench for Crystal Palace. It's just, we are a bigger club. I don't think we need to be silly about it, do we? C. Jones says, morning, Jay. Think we could go for Ings to bridge the gap, the striker gap, till the summer. Then he can be a rotation player. I just struggle, with ex-Liverpool players. I'm not going to lie. I know it's small-minded. I know it's bitter and horrible and just, that sort of divisiveness none of us really like. But I'm just that guy. He went to Liverpool. It didn't work out. I don't want him. But I understand that we do need a striker. Dale Gibson says, can't see David De Gea being displaced for Butland. Joe Howard says, morning, my second favourite bald man. Is your first one Dion Dublin? Ed says, UTFP, UTFR, big up our favourite baldy, and you too, Jay Motty. I think, yeah. I think there's a lot of love for Erik ten Hag, and I completely agree. Shall we move on anyway? As always, we'll keep you posted. Looks like that could be happening soon, the Jack Butland one. When it does, we'll keep you posted on the socials and on a video. Now, the next one is Marcus Thuram. Marcus Thuram doing bits at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Had a very good season so far. Sort of put himself in the shop window, I felt, with the World Cup. That cameo in the World Cup final where he did quite well sort of made everyone go, he's a bit of a player. He's not just Lilian Thuram's son. He's actually very good. Which also, as well, you don't just get in the French squad because you're Lilian Thuram's son. You've got to be good at football, haven't you? That's not like, I'll just play him because his dad was mint. That doesn't make any sense, and I don't think Didier Deschamps is the type of man to do that. You can see there the tweet from Ronan Murphy. It says, the main reports are coming from Spanish publications at the moment, but there's talk in Germany that an approach has been made. Thuram will be open to the move, and Gladbach willing to sell this month for somewhere between 10 and 12 million. I mean, the price is certainly right, isn't it? That's a bit of a snip for I think he's 25 years old, isn't he, Marcus Thuram? So let me just bring up some stats here, because I'm not going to pretend to you that I just automatically know all these numbers. Yep, he's 25 years old. Obviously, he played 9 games for France. He's not scored, but he featured in that World Cup and in the World Cup. I forgot about that. He got booked for diving, didn't he? Do you remember? He went down in the penalty area and everyone thought it was a penalty, and the referee was like, no, and booked him for diving. And then when everyone watched the replay, it was like, obviously a dive. That aside, though, been banging him in for Mönchengladbach this season. 13 goals in 17 appearances, 10 in 15 in the Bundesliga. As a player, to come in and maybe rotate with Anthony Martial and give you something a little bit different, I get it. Especially at the prices there, 10 to 12 million euros. Will it happen, though? I don't know. I don't know with this one. I still feel like a little bit like this is people just sort of putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5. I don't know if there is a solid interest there. We'll wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. It makes sense, but is this being driven by maybe his agent or by just the fact that sometimes when a move makes sense, people jump on it, don't they, and they go, that makes sense, it's going to happen. Then when you look at it, you go, well, actually, United haven't really been in for him. Erik ten Hag hasn't, mentioned him, or not so mentioned him, but looked at him, or there's no real indication there that United have been for him. This just feels like people saying, oh, well, here's a player's available. There's a striker. We need a striker. Let's go and get him. But who knows? As always, we'll keep you posted. I don't know what you guys think about this one, because it's a bit of a funny one, Marcus Thuram. What do you reckon? Patrick Cassidy says, I remember he got a 6-match ban for spitting at an opposition player. Proper put me off him. Yaral Malmin says, why are United playing games? Give ALM, Atletico Madrid, what they want and get Felix in tomorrow. That seems to have gone a bit weird, the Felix one, doesn't it? We'll get to that in a minute. Manish Bandari says, Jay, Van Persie came to United at 29, won the league. I remember it well, my friend. Little did we know that would be the last time for at least 10 years. At least 10 years. Came to United at 29, won the league. Will Kane do that too? And what do you think about him? Listen, I'd have Harry Kane at United. I would. I don't think it'll happen. But I think if Harry Kane came to United now, like this week, mate, that'd be absolute scenes. Imagine putting Harry Kane in this Manchester United team. Listen, we all like Andy Martial, but he's had his injury problems. Harry Kane scores goals for fun, especially if you had like the likes of Marcus Rashford and Anthony alongside him as well. That'd be an amazing sort of attacking front three. I don't see it happening. United aren't going to get Harry Kane. I think if United were going to get Harry Kane, that would have happened about 7 years ago, or maybe about 8 years ago. We were first linked with him then, weren't we? When he was a young player at Spurs, and he'd been on loan a couple of times. Then when he started doing bits at Spurs, there was talk of him coming to Manchester United. And I remember at the time I did a podcast, an audio-only podcast, back in the day when those were a big thing. I know they still are. And we're speaking about it, and I remember saying, oh, maybe, United might have to wait a season. And then the next season he scored something stupid, like 30-odd goals or whatever, and then that was the end of that because then his price just skyrocketed and Manchester United never looked really like getting him. There was talk of him going to Manchester City, weren't there, last season. That obviously didn't happen, and they've gone out and got some bloke called Erling Haaland. I don't know much about him. He's not very good. So Santa Notch says, Van Persie came after Fergie couldn't get R9. I'd love to have seen R9 at Manchester United. Do you remember he got a standing ovation for playing against us, scoring a hat-trick for Madrid? Ollie Jackson says, Jay, who's your ideal striker? You have the choice of anyone in the world. Who is it that you want? If you've got anyone in the world, then, I'll have Kylian Mbappe. Not going to happen, though, is it? The ones we've been linked with, you know what? None of them really stand out. They all kind of make sense short-term. When you look at Thuram, when you look at Joao Felix, when you look at, I think Olivier Giroud was being mentioned the other day. I understand it. I think that there's a lot to like about the kid at Napoli, Victor Osimhen. He's a player that sort of, you can imagine him being a bit of a fan's favourite. I know there's still question marks. Sometimes he gets injuries because he throws himself into things he shouldn't, but he's a bit of a player that you'd go, yeah, you know what, if he was in a red shirt, you'd love that, wouldn't you? But we'll have to wait and see because I think there's a bit of a shortage of out-and-out number 9s that are outstanding that could come to Manchester United and do a job. There was talk one not long ago, and I was quite on board with it, of Ivan Toney, but again, can he come from Brentford to Manchester United and shine? I know that Christian Eriksen's done that, but Christian Eriksen's a very experienced player that's been at Spurs and Inter Milan. Plus, the thing with Ivan Toney is you've got this big betting cloud hanging over him. I don't know what's going to go on with that one. So, yeah, it's a good question, but it's a difficult one. Tobias Nilsson says, are you and Joe the other ones working now? Where the heck is Steve and Adam? Love the hard work from you guys. I think Maka was on yesterday, wasn't he? So, McCall was on yesterday, and Steve's going to be on, I think, tomorrow. So yeah, don't worry. If you need your Adam McCullough and Stephen Alson fix, as we all do, they're both still part of this channel massively, and they'll be back on it very, very soon. Dale Gibson says, I think Mitrovic would be a good one. He's done all right, hasn't he? I think there was question marks about him. Can he, is he just one of those players who's mint in the Championship, not good enough for Premier League? But whenever I've seen him this season, I've been very, very impressed. James Kellen says, I'll play for free. Get me in. You never know with Glazonomics, son. Right, should we talk about Choupo-Moting? You can see here, this Florian Plettenberg who's been on the channel, very good journalist. He says, news, Choupo-Moting. First meeting about a new contract between, here we go, Salih Hamidizic, Nepe, Choupo's father, and his agent today. Good talks, but no fast decision. He doesn't want to be the backup next season. Clubs like United still pushing for a transfer in winter. So, you can see him there going up against Fabinho in the World Cup. I think, is it? Yeah. Or, in international. I presume it's the World Cup. Yeah. Possibly. I don't really. And this one doesn't really float my boat, if I'm being honest. I get it as a short-term thing. Maybe that makes a bit of sense short-term. But long-term, obviously not. How old is he? He's 33, isn't he? He's 33. And has had a somewhat okay career. But now he's absolutely shining with, I say absolutely shining. 6 goals in 10 games in the Bundesliga, 11 this season in all competitions. He's doing well. But if you look, last season, 9 goals in all comps. Season before, 9 goals in all comps. Season before, 6 goals in all comps. Season before that, 3 goals in all comps. And that was at Paris Saint-Germain. And then obviously that time at Stoke, which wasn't exactly, didn't exactly cover himself in glory. A decent player. Is he the answer to our problems? No. Even short term, I know he's been doing it by Munich. Does he come into Manchester United and do bits? I'm not so sure. I'd rather we left that one alone. Not going to lie to you. So let's move on. Should we talk about Joao Felix? This is the one that sort of seems to be getting the most traction in the press and certainly on social media as well. United presses for Joao Felix, but Atletico asks for much more. It says United are willing to offer $4 million, so the United have sort of said what they're willing to do. I think this has been translated, so you have to bear with some of the translation. It says Manchester United wants to incorporate Joao Felix in the winter market. As Relay has learned, the English team is willing to offer €4 million plus salary for the loan of the Portuguese until June. That makes sense, that kind of price. You think, yeah, you're paying his wages and, a few million quid. Yeah, why not? But then it's the sort that Atletico want, triple that. And the sort that this deal could end up costing United 18, 19, even 20 million. And you think 20 million for a loan move. For a player who, Joao Felix is a good player. When you watch him, on the ball, he's very good. He brings in those around him. He links up play well. He's a lively player as well. He looks like one of those players who'd be very difficult to mark and to play against. You know what I mean? He's always sort of in and around and in and around. He's very lively in it. Do you know what I mean? And he's very skillful. But the one sort of flaw for me is he doesn't score a lot of goals. He's not an out-and-out goal scorer. I think Atletico pulled the trigger quite early, didn't they, when they bought him for big money when he was, 19 years old? So they overpaid for him. It's not his fault. He's done all right, Atletico. I don't think he's probably put up the numbers that price tag, I think was it around 110 million or something stupid, would have justified. Not his fault. But he comes to United. Does he get you goals? Maybe he'll get you, 3 or 4. I don't see him being prolific by any stretch of the imagination. He will bring in players around him, though. When you've got Marcus Rashford banging in goals, maybe that's what United can live with. A player who comes in, links up well, and he's a backup to Anthony Martial. And if Martial gets injured, then you start Joao Felix, and you get Marcus Rashford doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the goals. It just worries me a little bit that we're so reliant on Marcus for goals. Toby in a super chat says nitpicking, but wish Bruno more happy when winning. It's very emotional, Bruno. He seems to cheer and stuff when we are winning. He's just he likes to do a bit on the a bit of arguing, doesn't he, with the referees and whatnot. But I think he looks relatively happy when things are going well. It's just when things aren't going well, he doesn't stop letting you know. Beckham says, I don't know if that's the actual David Beckham, says, Jay, look at Twitter. Kudos to loan to buy. We'll have a look at that now. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, with the Felix one, let us know what you think. Do you think, oh yeah, there we go. I've just seen a tweet. Thank you. Tweet by us, actually, by Stretford Paddock. There you go. It's good to see we're all on the ball. Manchester United are exploring the chances of signing Ajax forward Mohamed Kudus. United are exploring if a loan with a buy option later could work, and that's via Graham Bailey. Who's Graham Bailey? He's from 90 Minutes Football. So thanks for giving us a heads up there. It's good to know that Stretford Paddock communication is working well. Thanks for that, David Beckham. Just on we'll keep you posted on Mohamed Kudus. Let's see what happens there. I don't know a lot about the kid. In fact, let me just pull up some of his numbers to see if there's anything. I know it's not the be all and all end all, is it? Numbers, but that's all I've got to go over at the minute. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know loads about him. Obviously, he knows the manager, and the manager knows him. 22 years old. 10 goals in 21 appearances for Ajax this season. Does make a little bit of sense, I think, there when you look at it. But we'll have to wait and see. He feels like a player that's probably progressing. He's on the way up. Is that what United need now? Is he ready now to come to Manchester United and do a job? I don't know. Scored a few goals for Ghana. Let me know in the comments if you know anything about him. Let me know in the comments what you think about Joao Felix. Ollie Jackson says, Kudus would be a good buy. Young with heaps of potential and killed it in the Champions League this year against the big teams. Unsure Ajax would go for that, though. That's a good point. We just assumed, United wants someone, not happen. Ajax have done a lot of business this season, especially with us. So, do you see Manchester United getting Mohamed Kudus. Whitterbird says, I wish Anthony and Sancho have their mojo back. Certainly have more goals when he does. Sancho's a funny one. I don't know what's happening there. He's obviously gone away to get to improve or whatever it is. I think he's back in training now. I think Anthony's back in training now. There's a lot of games coming up. Maybe tomorrow night against Everton could be the chance for them both to come back into the team. If not, then you've got a game against, League One Charlton coming up as well. That should be ideal. Maybe just even if it's just to get your match rhythm and your confidence back as well. Perhaps that could be the potential time to bring them back. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Don't forget, if you've not done, to hit subscribe and like and share. We've got more videos coming up. We've got an interview with Dharmesh Seth from Sky Sports News. We spoke to him on the Tier 1 Transfer podcast. He's given us updates on Joao Felix, on what's happening with the goalkeeper situation, on what's happening with potential players leaving Manchester United as well. So make sure you are checking that out. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll be able to get a notification when that comes up as well. Tobias Nilsson asking about outs in January. Well, we go over that with that interview, which will be up later on today as well. We'll also have the preview ahead of the Everton FA Cup game as well. I've been Jay Motty. This has been the Paper Talk from the studio. Thanks for watching.